welcome to An Aspiring Engineer Plays GregTech New Horizons. My name is Ray, and a few months ago, I caught this mod pack out when I was looking into playing a lot of industrial Minecraft mods at the time. I had played recently with a couple friends on some mods like Create, or Attack, Applied Energistics, and all that kind of stuff. It was on a 1.21 world, so very new, and it was just a lot of tinkering, experimenting with things, and just kind of having fun making stuff. And I remember falling so in love with the idea that you could just industrialize everything, and you could just automate recipes and just do all kinds of stuff. Ever since then, I've been looking for mods or mod packs to try out that could challenge me in the same way. And that's where I found this mod pack, GregTech New Horizons. I did some research into this pack, and it seems like the guy, Greg, made his mod called GregTech, and inspired off of achieving multiple different milestones in human civilization. For example, you start off in the Stone Age, and then you progress to steam, and then to electricity, and circuitry, and all of that. And I'm assuming some developers came in, saw the GregTech mod, and wanted to create something even bigger than what Greg had made. And so they included a mod pack with all these different mods tied together. Over 300 mods, actually, including Galactic Craft, Botany, Pam's Harvest Craft, Applied Energistics, and so on and so forth. And it's created this humongous, larger-than-life Minecraft mod pack where you start with stones and sticks and end up creating massive futuristic machines. All of that leading to the one big main goal that everyone seems to be heading towards, the Stargate. Now, this mod pack is no small feat. It's gonna take a lot of hours, a lot of commitment, a lot of mistakes, and certainly a lot of trial and error. And as a true aspiring engineer myself, I plan to not only attempt to defeat this monstrous mod pack, but I also am going to handicap myself a little bit while playing. Since this is my first run ever, and I have quite literally little to no idea what to expect in this mod pack, I am playing with a couple restrictions. One of them being no wiki reading. I will not be looking at the wiki for this entire playthrough, nor any YouTube videos, nor any other unrelated help articles or forums or anything like that to figure out the problems that come across my way. I will solely be using my own mind, my own problem skills, and maybe some comments and other feedback from people who follow this playthrough as well. And with that, of course, I politely ask for little to no spoilers in the comments section below. I always commend any help. I always appreciate anybody who's willing to help me out with something or offer tips and tricks to maybe improve or optimize my machines and systems. But I am not looking to get any info on things that I don't know yet or that I'm still trying to piece together. If I do have any questions, I will absolutely ask you guys, or I guess I will also be looking into reaching out to real people to ask for some advice. For example, my professors, or any actual technicians or engineers that I do know in real life. That way I can kind of learn something while playing this mod pack. And I've already learned quite a lot from, well, one, trying to install this whole thing, and also just researching into all the different materials and machines and functions of things. I've already learned so much, and it's just absolutely incredible. The other handicaps that I'm putting myself on, of course, no cheats. I'm not playing in creative, and I'm not going to do anything in a creative world to see if it's going to run in my survival world. I'm just purely focusing on this survival world here. As well, I have keep inventory turned off. I would have keep inventory on because I'm not the kind of player who likes having to lose all of their items just because they can't find out where they died. However, the fact that this mod does come with a gravestone mod is absolutely incredible. It's a huge crutch, and I will therefore leave keep inventory off just because it's not really a major setback for me to just go find the grave again and pick up all my stuff. It's a lot nicer that way, and it keeps the challenge going, right? So that's what I'm doing there. As well, I'm only playing in survival mode. I'm not playing hardcore. I might be a masochist, all right, but I'm not that much of a masochist, okay? I'm not gonna go ahead and just totally restart everything all over again just because overestimated a height drop, right? So I'm not going to be doing that. As well, I'm not going to be backup scumming. If I make a mistake, if I decide to nuke an entire island or whatever I do, if I just totally mess up everything, I am not loading up a previous backup unless I cannot proceed with the game. If I do something that causes the entire game to just totally break and I can't continue the world, then I will have to go backup scum. But I will try to do that as little as possible, no matter how bad the setback is. If I mess up, I just gotta suck it up and deal with it. And that's why also I gotta make sure I'm very careful with learning these machines because I really don't want to have to worry about uh, doing all of that recap and trying to get back to where I was. As well, I'm going to be pursuing a completionism route. I am a gamer who loves to, well, of course, play casually, but also try and unlock as much as I can and get all the achievements. So not only will I be doing the entire quest book, I will also be doing all of the achievements and all of the side quest lines that exist. For example, in the Nomicon or Thought, oh gosh, that's hard. Thaumonomicon. There we go. I've noticed that there's a whole tab of quests there. Witchery has a lot of other quests there. In that mod list as well. So I want to be able to do all of the things that I can do. So even if I do get to the Stargate, there might be some post endgame content left as well for me to do, which I will also be covering in this series as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole grasp of this run. Of course, this is a completely blind run. I have never played GregTech New Horizons before. As you can see, I have already played about a few hours now. Time absolutely play. Yeah, so I have played it about 124 hours, which sounds like a lot. It does, really, trust me, it does sound like a lot. But I have been going a little slower. I have only, if you can look on my quest book here, I have only made it to tier 0.5 Steam. I'm still in the Steam age out of, I guess, 12 tiers. So 124 hours, and I haven't even reached Steel yet, which is really just infancy at that point. I basically might as well have never have touched this mod pack at all. So if that sets you off, if that I've already gone through a little bit of this mod pack already, then I totally get it. But just to reassure you, I really haven't. I've gone through most of the Stone Ages, as you can see here. I still have a lot to go left, though. However, a lot of this gameplay is very new. I'm very infant still in this, and I still have no idea what the rest of this has in store for me. I don't even know what these stand for yet. I don't even know what these tiers stand for. So, really, I have a lot to go. So, I'm basically starting off from scratch. But if you really do want to catch up and see how I've gotten to this point, I do have a forum in the Discord server for GregTech New Horizons that you can go ahead and check. And you'll see on the forums page in the GTNH gallery there's a forum titled exactly what the series is titled. An aspiring engineer plays GregTech New Horizons blind, and you'll be able to go in there and read all of my progress up until this first video here. So I have all of that recorded and documented if you really care to look back on that. And for the most part, the series is really just going to start the moment I hit Steel. So that's going to be quite interesting. But it's fittingly called Blast Off, so I think it's a pretty good place to start. Um, but yeah, to start off this series, I want to go ahead and give you guys a little base tour, just kind of catch you all up as to where I am, what I've been doing, and all of those things as well. And forgive me if I sound a little nasally. I am a bit sick. I have caught a bit of a flu, so it's starting to get better. So hopefully by next video it should be totally gone. But just bear with me here as well. All right. Now, to start the base tour, I want to go ahead and just kind of start off this story with how it began, how I got to this world, which, by the way, is called Polaria. Little thing there. I created this world, and I wanted to come up with a title for it, a fitting name, but I didn't quite know what to do, and it's always so hard to name things. It's just such a big hassle, and I never know what I want for the title. And of course, you can't change the world name once you make it, so I had to make sure it was good. Um, and so I went into a bit of a phase with trying to name things after like galaxies or that kind of space stuff because I'm all about that space stuff. Of course, I'm going into engineering for astronautical engineering. I want to get into NASA, SpaceX, Lockheed Martin, all those kinds of things. That's the dream at the end of the day. But I really wanted to name something after space, so I decided to name this world Polaria after the poles, of course. I mean, what else, right? And coincidentally, what I did not expect to do was spawn in a snow biome. Oh, that's a stray. But I spawned in a snow biome, so fittingly, Polaria makes sense. I guess canonically, I am on the poles of this world. I guess the North Pole or the South Pole. Maybe the South Pole, I guess, since there's actually land there. But I spawned in the snow biome, and I gotta say, not the greatest place to spawn. Very beautiful. I'll definitely say that. Very beautiful with the nature, but not quite hospitable, if you will. So, starting off in the Stone Age took a lot of. Let me kill this guy real quick. Definitely took a lot of learning and a lot of error as well into trying to figure out how to navigate this extreme expanse, which is very hostile. I spawned up there in those mountains up there, and I totally was just so lost. I didn't even know how to start. I spawned up there in those mountains with no trees around either. I didn't even see a single tree, and I just totally was so lost. But after some exploration, I found this little cabin here. So this cabin is actually pre-generated. I did not build this. No, I mean I am an okay builder, but I'm not, this good. But I did find this cabin here, and I ran down this hillside over here, over to this cabin, and I took up shelter here. Little did I know that this was actually a dungeon. So this cabin actually houses a dungeon down here, with a very mean basement. We'll take a look at that basement later on since I've kind of moved down there, but it was filling with mobs. Actually, filled with strays, coincidentally, and I had to block this area off. So one of the first images that I've ever took was in this position with the some wood from these tables kind of barricading this side of the house and this door shut. And this was kind of my home for a while I tried to figure out how to stay alive. But later on, I was able to kind of block up this basement and push in and then head up here where you encounter the first real bedroom, I suppose, of this base. Now, this bedroom has seen a lot over the, I guess, year that I've been playing. It's year 2, day 125. But I was able to really carve this out into my own space, right? Luckily, it came with a bed, or I had a chest to kind of organize my stuff. And I had a lot of other chests lined up here as my storage, but I moved those all down since I don't really need to stay up here much anymore. Nowadays, I just sleep here when I'm ready to go to bed. But that's pretty much it. I also have this chest full of just random crap that I don't ever use and nor that I know the need to use for. So it's just kind of nice to have on the side. I also have my Thaumonomicon. That's so hard to say. I have that right here. It's filled with a lot of quest lines and stuff. I mean, I can show you guys. If I open this thing up, you can see, I mean, just like, what the heck is all this, bro? There's so much here. But I want to do all of this, right? The completionist route, I have to do all of this. But, man, that's going to be rough. But yeah, it's full of stuff. So excited to get into all that, but this is staying right here. It's just kind of a reminder to me that I need to get into this at some point. I don't know when, but I know this is here for me at some point. I also have a lot of the witchery books here. Some of these things have just kind of been put here. Just kind of like a list of biomes and some other stuff here as well that I've found while looting. Um, all of that is just kind of framed here, just kind of like as a nice little area for me to remember, what I need to catch up on and what's still remaining for me to do. Moving on down to the lower areas, or I guess we could just head outside here. And I'm trying to go in order of what I've done, just so you guys can stay caught up. Um, but I have actually, a great place to start is this garden here. Is that this is my first garden, and I want to eventually expand this later on. Right now, I only have like a humble selection of produce and crops and all that stuff I found from scavenging the wild expanse of the snowy tundra. But I started this garden, and I learned that, of course, well, when you put torches next to ice, it melts the ice. Of course, we know that. But I also found out from looking at the shoreline while investigating and chopping wood down, I learned that trees, if you break the ice under them, they actually stay broken. They don't come back for whatever reason. So I learned that if I just plant a bunch of trees here and then break all the ice there, I can have stable water to plant all my crops around. Because the problem is, in the tundra, I can't just put water down for a farm because it'll just ice over and then the crops won't get watered. So this was a kind of a nice little solution to make like a little simple farm setup. And I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. But eventually, I want to be able to make a greenhouse and just have like a bunch of carrots, a bunch of cotton, a bunch of potatoes, and all that stuff in their own spots. So that might be coming up here sooner rather than later. But this is the kind of farm right now. Pretty modest, pretty simple, and it is what it is. And I also have, just some other stuff lying around. I got olives over there, sugarcane, berries. I got this animal trap here, which I'm not really using right now. Bamboo, but then we get on to cacti. So, one of the big issues in this mod pack is that there is no infinite water. So, normally in Minecraft, you're just able to put a 2x2, hole, fill it up with water, and then you could just sample as much water as you want from it. The problem is, in GregTech New Horizons, you can't really do that. You have to kind of work with limited water. So if I were to take water from here, as you can see, it doesn't fill back up again. It just stays empty. So the problem there is that I've got to worry about managing my water supply. Because of course I don't want to just drain a lake. Also, it just looks weird if I have this like this. It just really annoys me. It looks really ugly. So I had to learn how to manage water. And so one thing that I learned from the quest book is that I can just use cacti juice to make water. If I take cacti and then grind it up into cactus juice just for my crafting table, I can make cactus juice. And then if I surround it around a bucket, then I can just make water. And when I learned about that, I immediately went to making this giant 3-tiered cacti farm. I only had about, I think, 5 cacti just on this one sandy surface when I started. But I was pretty unsatisfied with how little it was giving me at a time and how much water I needed. So I decided to make 3 layers. Funny enough, I actually don't use this anymore because I have figured out another solution. Oh, I just heard a creeper. Oh, crap. There's 2 of them right there. Wow, that sucks. Okay. Let me figure that out because I really don't want him to deal with that. Oh gosh, this sucks. Please go away. I'm trying to do a, Was he drowning me? Jeez, okay. But yeah, as I was saying, before I got rudely interrupted, ooh, a piston. Before I got rudely interrupted anyway, is that I wanted to develop a nice simple water solution so that I wouldn't have to worry about, having to wait 20 minutes just for some simple cacti. And so I made this 3-tier cacti farm. But funny enough, I don't actually use this anymore because I developed a nicer solution to figuring this out, which I will showcase later on in the base tour. But I left this here. It definitely took a lot of birch wood to make, and I could definitely salvage this all down and work with what I've got. Maybe, I could use the wood for sure. But honestly, I think this is just kind of a nice reminder of the humble origins that I started off of. So I've decided to leave this here. But if we continue on in the base, I've got a humble estate here, as you can see on the map. If I zoom in here, I've got, the home, which is this cabin you're seeing right here. Make it daytime. I've got the cactus farm up there. I've got my tool shed, my tower, my cookhouse, and my barn as well, and a little bit of a canopy over this way. So we've got just a couple buildings right now is what I've got to work with. But going through here, this is kind of like the outdoor quarters of the estate, I suppose you could call it. Got a lot of other like produce trees around here, but down this path you have the first ever structure that I built, and this was the tool shed, as I called it. I'm pretty proud with how this turned out. Actually, I'd done like a cool little like roof style. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not really the best builder you've ever seen, so don't be like expecting the craziest sci-fi builds you've ever seen. But I'm pretty proud with how this turned out. Um, and this workshop is where I kind of learned how to make tools, fittingly called the tool shed. As you can see in here, I've got a basic setup of all the different like tools that I'd be using. As well, I learned how to make tools from Tinker's Construct, which is a mod where you can make tools out of more rudimentary materials like flint and bone. I learned really quickly that you cannot actually make tools out of stone, wood, or maybe wood actually, I don't remember if you can, but you can not make tools out of stone, iron, anything like that just from putting 3 sticks in a crafting table and or excuse me, 2 sticks and 3 iron. You actually have to work with patterns and framing and stencils, which was already a lot to learn. Um, and so I made these books, which, of course, God forbid I have to read, but a lot of different uh, just recipes and things that I need to make, and all this stuff that was really important for me. Um, and I had to learn all of this really quickly if I wanted to stay alive. And so I was able to make pretty advanced tools. And what's cool is that you can actually upgrade them. And right now I'm at bronze tier, so I can actually mine stuff like redstone. I'm really close to mining obsidian. I'm really close. I want to get there so bad, but we're just not quite there yet. But soon, we'll probably when I hit steel, we'll be able to do that as well. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of a nice, cool, different way to make tools and learn how to actually like build stuff to help you survive. And so that's kind of where I am with that as well. Funny enough, you can actually put a piston on a bow to increase your knockback, which is kind of cool. I love that. Moving on from the tool shed though, because pretty simple, pretty basic. We have my first ever machine and my pride and joy. I love this thing so much. The Coke oven. Yes, it's Coke, but not cocaine Coke. It's Coke, as in charcoal Coke. With this, you can actually make charcoal. I learned quickly on that you can't actually just smelt a log to make charcoal. You have to use this if you want to get early burning stuff. Otherwise, you have to use leaves, saplings, all that crap. And in November of 2024, or excuse me, November 24th of 2025, I'm not used to dates like this. I always do month, day, year. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm American. With this coke oven here, you're able to put in logs and then make charcoal out of them. You can also make creosote, which is the kind of stuff that they use on telephone poles to prevent termites from eating them. So that's pretty cool. But what's nice about creosote is that it's also a burning tool. It's a burning fuel, excuse me. So you not only get charcoal for burning, you get creosote too, which is really nice. So this is my main source of fuel at the moment. I have seen that people make like 20 of these to automate them and whatever. I'm not quite there yet, so I just have one. But this is my pride and joy. I'm really proud of it. And it's just kind of my baby, I suppose, right? I haven't named it. I don't really know if I will, but this is my main coke oven, the OG. And I have a canopy over here. This is important because multi-blocks, and this is a multi-block because if you didn't know, it's got multiple blocks on it, of course, go figure. But this coke oven is a multi-block, and what's the majority of multi-blocks in this pack, you kind of have to be careful with where you place them, because if they get wet, or if snow falls on them, or just other instances, these things can blow up, which is insane. I haven't had that happen to me yet. I have not had any explosions yet, but I don't want that to happen. So I put this nice little slab canopy over it to make sure that this wasn't gonna explode and totally destroy everything, including the tool shed and all that stuff. So, because these explosions could be pretty big, I've seen. So I really don't want that to happen to me, and so therefore I've covered it up as well. But behind here actually is one of my most recent creations, is the Railcraft tank. It's kind of hard to say. but this tank can actually hold liquids, which is pretty cool. The problem that I had with this coke oven is that eventually it filled up. Creosote filled up all the way to the top here, and I wasn't going to be able to make any more charcoal because I just didn't have room to produce the byproduct of creosote. So I developed a solution of making this faucet, which would drip from the coke oven into this pipe system, and this pipe system would eventually run into this tank, which will house all my creosote. Right now I've got 80,000 millibuckets of creosote in here, or 80,000 liters. 1,000 millibuckets, or 1,000 liters, by the way, is one bucket of liquid. So that's kind of cool. So if I take one out, I got 79,000. If I put one in, I got 80,000. So pretty easy measurement system there, but it's pretty cool now that I have a pretty much infinite source of creosote to use for fuel. I don't end up using creosote as much as I used to because, of course, I've developed a much simpler way to burn stuff, which you'll see later on in this tour, but I'm pretty proud with how this turned out, and now that I don't have to worry about filling up this coke oven at all, I can just make as much charcoal as I want. So thankfully I've got that going for me as well. Moving on to the base tour, we're going to move up here and try to go in chronological order. I developed this barn over here. One thing that I noticed is that I'm going to need a lot of leather, wool, feathers, all the works. And so I needed a way to kind of farm that. So I just built this stable right here. I had actually made a cow pen beforehand, and I placed it over here, I think in this space right there. But I realized I wanted to farm more than just cows, so I had to make this whole barn thing. I'm actually really happy with how this looks, because frankly, this is my first time really like making genuine buildings, and so I think this is kind of cool the way it looks. I really want to cut this stupid little nib off of this like side here. So hoping whenever I make vertical slabs, which is a thing in this mod pack, I want to go ahead and fix this up to be a little nicer looking. Moving out here, we've got the cookhouse. Now, the cookhouse is one of my more recent buildings that I made. Got my timber in here, but what's nice about the cookhouse is that I can easily make food stuff. So one thing in this mod pack is that you kind of have to make your own food, and it's nice because you can actually cook it. Like, you can really go through the process of, slicing the bread and, saucing the different ingredients you need, and, squishing the stuff to make jams and butters and stuff like that, which is so cool to me. So you can really make some really cool foods and stuff. And you can hold a lunchbox out to like kind of carry stuff with you. And you can just eat it like that. Super sweet. And the more foods you make, the more variety of food you have, the further you can expand your health bar. So you might notice I have golden, orange hearts. And that's actually a progression of stacking hearts. So right now, I not only have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 hearts. I've got another 10 hearts, which is that orange layer, and then another 8, which is that golden layer. So in total, I have 28 hearts, which is pretty sweet. But if we move into the cookhouse, you can see where all the food making happens. Is that I've got all of these chests here. This is my tools section where I just have all my equipment. I have the fruits chest here. I have the vegetables, the protein, or excuse me, this is the protein, this is the grain section. This is the herbs and spices, and then this is the juice section. So a lot of this comes from that garden over there, and also just from some other villages I've looted while I was scavenging out in the world. But I've been able to accumulate a lot of ingredients, and over here I have my got this book if I want to go ahead and take it. I've made books a lot in this world because obviously I can't use the wiki or anything like that, and so therefore I've had to make books to catalog a lot of my findings. And so this is the book of recipes that I made, and it details a lot of things that I've discovered how to make. Of course, it tells you in the quest line, but I like to have these things jotted down for easy access. And I learned how to make sandwiches, meat sandwiches, bread, dough, all that kind of stuff. And so I was able to do a lot with this so far, but I still have a lot to go. You can even make beer in this mod pack, which is, obviously phenomenal, right? I mean, who doesn't want that? So we're getting pretty close to expanding the food repertoire and also increasing my health overall. So that's pretty cool. Up here, we've got the basic stuff. This is a trophy when I found marshmallows in the lower dungeons, actually, in my house. I found these marshmallows, which obviously, as you can see here, are pretty overpowered. But they also give you tons of buffs as well, which is really cool. But, I've also got some other modest stuff as well, which helps with hunger, which is pretty cool. I also have these drying racks for drying stuff and these furnaces for cooking and smoking as well. You get a pretty nice view of the mountains up here, which I'm also really happy with as well. So yeah, pretty cozy setup up here. That's mostly it for the outdoor side of the base. Yeah, like I said, not a whole lot here. This path just goes back down to the cacti area of the base, but for the most part, pretty simple. Not a whole lot going on in this base. Soon to expand, of course, but for now, very basic the way it is. Over here, I've got a lot of different saplings and things that might be important, like silver wood and great wood or whatever it's called, rubber trees, paper trees over there, just all that kind of stuff that I can harvest later on. But this is one of the most recent. I think it's actually the most recent build that I made, and it's just the secondary entrance to the underground. So this tower over here doesn't really have much of a purpose right now. I kind of have this floor system here. I got these windows. And upstairs, I have a roof section where I can see things. Um, but down here, I've got my workshop section. And it's just nice because I don't want to have to move from side to side to figure out how to do these things. I can just simply, if I need to go back downstairs, I can just go on this side of this estate, or I could go on that side of the estate, whichever is closest. But for the most part, pretty simple there. Let's go ahead and move in to the underside of the base so I can show what that looks like. Moving on down here, it took a lot of time to make sure this dungeon is safe because this dungeon has a lot of mob spawners and that kind of thing. And so I had to learn how to prevent, as you can see down there, I've got some mob spawners. And I had to kind of go through and just place torches everywhere down here, make sure this place was as safe as I possibly could make it. Could be a lot brighter, but frankly, I don't really have the time to do that. But yeah, I've kind of made these places safe because, to be fair, I could mine these, but it's just going to take way too long. I kind of need to upgrade to be able to do that reliably, so for now, they're just going to stay torched. But moving on down here, I've kind of colonized a lot of this basement. The first 4 floors, actually, this place goes down pretty deep, but I've been able to kind of make sure that this place was as safe as I could make it without a bunch of mobs crawling all over the place. This place was actually filled with like iron bars and mobs and all that kind of dangerous stuff like traps and all that. And so I've been kind of going through and making sure that it's as safe and reliable as I can possibly make it. Moving in, I'm also planning to move a lot of my base of operations down here. A lot of machines and stuff I kind of want to put down here just because, well, one, I get access to water without having to worry about the frigid temperatures upstairs. And I also get to be able to have more room to do the things I need to do. So that's kind of the idea there. Over here, I've got my just my garden section. It's kind of abandoned right now. It's kind of sad to look at. A lot of 420 blazer weed. But I haven't really meddled with this too much. I don't really kind of want to get into this quite yet, but as you can see, I do have some stuff kind of working here. Maybe I'll return to this eventually over time. But as I go in, I'll be able to advance this maybe further, figure out like how selective breeding works and that kind of thing, which is pretty exciting. There's a lot of stuff to do, but I need to figure out how I want to advance that and when. but you know, over time during the series that'll come up as well. Moving over here, we have the main section, kind of the main workspace area of the base. If we go in here, cue the cave sound, of course. We have the main workstation, which has 3 different sections. And of course, we have the downstairs here. Pretty proud of this setup here. This just prevents any mobs from coming up here. I'm not very familiar with redstone, so I had to learn how to do that. And that was definitely a tricky trial there, but I did figure out how to invert a signal, so that way I can activate things by the push of a button, which is pretty cool. But this is Blurt. This is my protector, my golem. He's kind of slow, but you know, he gets the job done, and he protects me from any creepers or anything like that that get through, or any small mobs that might manage to break through that little gap right there. But moving in, we have the first section that I want to show, which actually isn't really anything anymore. This was my smeltery room. I had all my furnaces and blast furnaces lined up on this wall right here, just for basic smelting and all that kind of stuff. That was before I hit the Steam Age, and so I was still in the Stone Age, trying to figure out, you know, how to make furnaces and all that kind of stuff, and blast furnaces, and I was able to do that here, and I had this whole wall lined up with stuff, and I was able to, you know, make it a humble little workstation. But now that I have Steam, I don't really need that anymore, so I tore all this down. I might repurpose this at some point, but I'm not sure what I'll do with that quite yet. Moving further out, we've got other stuff as well. Down this wing, we've got the smeltery wing, which is where I learned how to process different alloys. Over here, as you can see, it's kind of similar, where with the workstation up on the tool shed, where you're able to make tools out of flint and bone, but this time you can actually make them out of stuff like iron, obsidian, cobalt, that kind of stuff. So pretty cool there. And all these different casts and stuff as well, and you can melt stuff down in here and with lava and all that stuff. You can put stuff in here and it heats it up, and you can pour it out as a mold onto here, which is really cool, and into each of these different places. And this took definitely a curve to make. Definitely had to quote-unquote borrow some stuff from villagers to get this thing built, but definitely worked out with how I built it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And this has definitely helped me through a lot of different crafting quests and that kind of thing. So that was pretty cool as well. I've got my journal here, which tells me as well how to make different alloys, just so I remember. For example, bronze, brass, red alloy, and so on and so forth. I haven't really gotten there yet, but for now I know how to make 3 alloys, which is pretty cool. But yeah. Further on, I'll be able to write down in that book more and further expand the lists of alloys that I can make as well. I also found a more efficient way to do this as well, but I still use this for molds and stuff like that, but I have found a more efficient way that has me not using this as much as I used to, which I will be able to show in just a second. If we move further on down here, we can see we've got the last wing, and then some other side sections, which I'll show in just a minute, but the main pride and joy is, if I can get in, the storage room. So this room is filled with all of the things that I found either in the dungeons or just around the world, or things that I have made. So these are all kind of categorized into their own spots. For example, in this section of the storage room, we have all the building blocks and basic crafting stuff. Here's all the blocks, right? Dirt, cobblestone, gravel, you know, all the building blocks, all that stuff. This chest is for stuff that I don't know what I'm doing with yet, so we've got a lot of random crap here. I don't know what I'm going to use yet, but stuff right here that, you know, might come to be important later on. I also got mob drops in this chest, stuff like mobs will typically drop, just put on one big chest, and not using that yet, but this is for crafting, that kind of stuff, just like utilities, that sort of thing. Yeah, kind of stuff like that. Over here, I've got more mob drop stuff, more basic equipment, a lot of stuff that I already have. Over here, we have the currency. In quest lines, when you do quests, you can get coins, and so you can buy stuff with those coins. And so I have chests, lots of chests full of just these coins in this corner. So I'm pretty rich, you know, not to brag, but this is where I keep all of that wealth right here, as well as those gold coins as well. Not sure what those are for yet, though. This is Scratches, my cat. He's got a little bit of damage to him. I want to feed him. I want to like heal him back up, but I'm not sure how to do that because the only thing with playing with a magic mouse, which is what I play with, is that there is no designated left or right click. So sometimes you can actually left click when you don't mean to and accidentally punch scratches, which I feel really bad for still. I've been trying to feed him fish to try and like heal him back up, and I'm not sure how to do that. But you know, I'll be very careful from here on out. I've got more tools up here. This is just my main workstation. I've got the anvil, the drying rack, the cauldron, you know, all the different tables and stuff. I've got a checklist here. It's kind of empty right now. I don't have much to put on it, but it's there for when I need it. As well, I've got my books here. One of my main things is that in this world, when you go ahead and explore things, so if I pull up the map here, you can't find ores normally like you can in Minecraft where you go around and you just kind of find things as you go. You have to find things in veins. So you have to survey the land to find different veins for what you're looking for. So if I go up here in the map and click this show G2 ore veins, you can see every 3 chunks there will be a specific ore, right? So in this chunk you can only find soapstone, talc, glauconite, and pentlandite. Or in this one, you can find magnetite, vanadium, magnetite, and gold, that kind of stuff. And you have to survey the land to see what you need. And I actually, as you can see, I've done a lot. Actually, a lot of this was just to find lazurite, sodalite, lapis, and calcite. I actually had done like this whole section down here, this section up here, all of this, just to find this one vein. So that was quite a lot. But the good thing is that I have a lot of access to so many different ores, so hopefully finding things won't be an issue later on. But yeah, that I kind of also have went through and logged all of these different ores and stuff that I found because I don't know what half of this stuff is. So logging it down has allowed me to help me learn what all of these minerals do, the applications for them, and how I could use them better in the future to learn how to craft different things and create different machines. So as you can see, for example, I've got iron here, which is rich in iron oxides. It's white, and you can use it in industry and steel production, stuff like that. You know, and the list goes on as I've written down. And I've gotten the applications from the actual wiki page for the different ores. Not the game wiki page, but the actual Wikipedia article for, like, for example, salt, or from malachite, or chromium, that kind of stuff. So I actually went into the real Wikipedia page to look into this and try and figure out how each of these things worked. So yeah, 50 pages full of this stuff that is very important for me as well to learn how to do. But yeah, I've got that, and I've got 10 more pages in this book here as well. So still quite learning how to do, like, just learn all of these different minerals and stuff like that. But pretty happy with what I've done so far. I found a lot of different expanses, and I know I still have more to go, so that'll definitely be a trip on its own. But yeah, moving on to the tour, we've got all the loot for my dungeons. We've got, you know, all the armor that I found, all the weapons that I found, the potions, the crafting tools, you know, all the stuff that, you know, I'll have to repurpose at some point. So a lot of that is mainly just all of that right here. Tons and tons and tons of that. I mean, there's a lot down there, so had to grab a lot. I've got, you know, trinkets, stuff that you can use, more tools. This is my tool chest that I made. This is the random stuff that I don't know what to do with right now. These are the ores. So up here you have pure elements like silver, emerald, gold, diamond, ruby, all that stuff. Here you've got sort of like more chemical composites. So like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, all those different things. Here you've got the dust versions, the grounded versions as well. You've got some raw elements of it too, which I have yet to process as well. I've got stone dust, redstone, and also just other applicable blocks. This is the section where I have blocks that I can actually use for things, for placing down, and that have a function. So whenever I need those, I just come here for that. And here's all the books as well that I don't really use right now, because what's nice is that you can just, you know, put different materials into your tools and you're able to expand it from there. So that's kind of the basis of this right now. I've got all the things that I have made, for example, like alloys, coke, dust, that kind of stuff. And I've got all the applications of built stuff from those as well that are sitting right here. And that's about it. I've got these chests laid out here because as I expand the storage room, I kind of want to follow a layout that looks like this, that goes all throughout this section of the floor in the storage room. But for now, it's just kind of stuck to two different walls for now. It's not that big quite yet. Moving out further in is my Steam workshop, pretty much. This is my plant room. This is my pride and joy here as well. I've got a lot of pride and joys in this world, but I've got the system where I've set up boilers and different steam machines. So over here you have the boiler system here. The boiler was a whole problem that I had to figure out. I had to problem solve how to one, operate this without exploding it, and then two, make sure it works properly and to the maximum efficiency that it can. So I had to keep a log of things that I had to do there. And so you can see here, for example, I wrote down the requirements, the criteria, all that stuff, how they work, possible solutions to prevent explosions and that kind of thing. I had to run tests and experiments to see how it worked. Supplying water, that kind of thing, running different tests, seeing how they work. First time I did it, succeeded perfectly, which is great. And all the different things like pipings and coatings and furnaces and all the different machines that you can make from those things as well, how they work, etc., etc. So pretty cool there. This is just kind of my document through the Steam age, making sure that I don't explode things, so I write them down. And because I'm not checking the wiki for how to do these things, because I have to problem solve, I have to figure out how to really do this on my own without it exploding. So definitely took a lot of commitment there as well. Moving in to the tools themselves, of course, I'm sure you guys have seen this already, but if you haven't, this steam alloy smelter is a improvement off of what I had already built, which was that big like sear thing, which was down here, it's down that wing over there. It's actually a much more compact, much more efficient system here, and it only runs on steam, so I can just put things in here and it'll consume steam to make them. So pretty sweet there. I've got my furnaces, which replaced the furnaces that were down here, which were all the way down in that section of the building. So I only need two now, and they do a pretty good job. And I've got my macerators, which crush things. And that really helps with making crafting recipes as well. I've got my little trophy here from when I first built my first boiler, which was in December of 2025. So that was pretty awesome to build that for the first time. I only have 3 trophies actually, so this is the third and last one as well. So pretty cool there. But this is again my pride and joy. this is my pump room. This is where I solve the infinite water crisis. So instead of having to farm cacti and process it to make cacti juice and then make water from that, I learned that you can just make these tanks. And each of these tanks is filled with tree resin. And what it does is it soaks up humidity and forms condensation. And then from there, you're able to just trap a bunch of water and it fills up over time. So this is 400 kiloliters of water, which is 400 buckets of water, which is insane. That's just crazy how that works. So I can have, and I built 10 of these, which cost over like 1,000 iron, but which means I have 4,000 buckets of water at any time, basically. These are all full and they stay full. So that's pretty awesome. And considering that, like, for example, this only takes 16, right? Each of these only takes 16 at a time, and I have 4,000. So awesome there. I don't think I'm going to need water for quite a while. But as you can see here, I've got some different pipes that are actually used for the boiler room. I've learned that as long as I keep water in the boilers, they won't explode. So I have a constant 2 systems here running to this boiler room at all times. So that way it stays flowing, and I don't have to worry about having this drain too fast because we've got 2 of them routed to those boiler rooms as well. But I have so much water that I'm able to just use these as well. And eventually I might have all of these tanks routing to different areas of the estate, which is pretty awesome to think about. But moving further in, I've got the underside of the workshop here. This is the workshop section, of course. You might recognize the staircase. This is actually the staircase that goes all the way back up to the tower, as you can see here. So this is kind of just, like I said, a nicer way to just get to the same place without having to travel further. So if you head down here, we've got the workshop section, which has all of my Steam machinery that I don't typically use all that often. So I've got steam from the excess that routes up from these pipes. So you can see they're kind of backed up right now, but they come from the excess of here. So if there's any excess steam that is filling up all these pipes, it can actually channel out this way and go all the way down here. And those machines, even though I don't use them that often, they have steam ready to go for when I need to use them. So as you can see, they're all topped off for the most part, ready to be used. This is my steam extractor, so I'm able to extract core elements out of things. This is my compressor, which is able to compress stuff. Like I said, you can't make like iron blocks out of 9 iron, for example. You have to put 9 iron in here and let it compress into the block, which is pretty cool. And here is the forge hammer, which is actually a much more efficient way of doing the handheld hammer method, which is really awesome. It's just, a bunch of nerdy stuff like that to really just help optimize what I'm doing there as well. I've got a little closet system here. I haven't used that yet. And then out here goes to the mines. So, yeah, just kind of some simple things right now. I'm already getting a little lost in this building that I've made. I imagine as I expand and go further down, deeper, I'm going to have a lot of different pathways and winding staircases and all that kind of stuff to really get lost in. So that'll be quite an obstacle to overcome. Maybe I'll have to put signs around the place like, this is the pump room, this is the plant room, etc., etc. And here in this chest, I think I'm planning to put my charcoal from the coke oven. I'm planning to put that in here just so I have that ready to go when I need it. And then I can just go ahead and put that all in here, get it set up, and then start making steam for when I need to run and process things. So that's awesome right there as well. I think that's it mostly for the base tour. If I go out, if I head outside, actually, oh yeah, actually, before I end here, this is the current project right here, is this room right here that I've kind of created the space in between two different hallways. I've kind of mined this out. What I want to do is make my next big machine, which if I go into Steam here, if we head down here into multi-block, is the Bricked Blast Furnace, which is a whole expedition, and that's what's going to be the first objective in the next video, is making that Bricked Blast Furnace. And so I'm going to have to really figure out how to make all that stuff, and then eventually, I don't know where I'm going to put it, probably on this wall right here. Maybe I'll make 2, who knows, it might be helpful to do that as well. But I'll be able to make multiple of those, or just one, and be able to finally, after 100-something hours, make steel. I'm so excited, I can't wait. But that is where you guys are gonna start following me on this journey. And I play very slow. As you can see, I'm like 100-something hours in, and I haven't even hit steel yet. I play very slow, but the goal is to document my journey as I go through this world, as I go through all of these different tiers. And of course, it's a completionist run, so I'm doing not only those tiers, but every single objective after that as well, like the space race, basic automation, applied energistics, thaumaturgy, all that stuff, magic, rituals, logistics, all that stuff. And that's kind of the goal there as well with those quests. I want to do all of those quests, all of the, for example, the Thaumonomicon stuff, all the different achievements. If I go here, I want to get all of these done as well, which are just like so expansive, just huge. And then of course it's like 3 different tiers as well. I want to be able to do all of that as well. I want to do everything that this mod pack has to offer, and so that is definitely going to be quite the ride. Who knows, I might even be married by the time I finish this stupid playthrough. But the goal, of course, I'm happy for anyone who plans to stick around and join me on this adventure. I really can't wait to get into this as well. But yeah, that's basically it for the base tour. As for, like I mentioned, I wanted to go upstairs and show the map that I have. Hey, Blart. I wanted to go up here and showcase the world as well. If I head up here, I should be able to see not the cave maps anymore, but the actual full map. If I head all the way up, or maybe I should head out this way. But if I head out here, yes, here we go. you'll be able to see the map expanse that I've discovered. So the base is right here in the center here, but as we head out further, I've actually mapped out a lot of different cool things, like an obsidian totem is over there, different like eldritch like altars, which is kind of weird. I've got like villages, these nodes which are really deadly, and really a lot of this is just snow. Most of this is just snow. It's kind of insane actually. I've done a major expedition down this way, really just winding through. Finally, I found some other biomes and that kind of thing, but yeah, I want to be able to further expand and fill up this section of the map. Really, just get all of this filled out at some points. These are those mountains that I was talking about, but yeah, we really got a lot to go. A lot of things that I need to still do. A lot of quests that I need to fulfill. A lot of objectives. A lot of fun. So yeah, that's basically it for the base tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. This most of these videos are not actually going to be, well, one, they're not going to be this short, but they're also not going to be like this where I'm just talking the whole time. I want to try and go through a bit more of a calming sort of vibe. Kind of have more like outside narration over just my gameplay, kind of like walking you guys through how I'm actively in real time solving problems and that kind of thing. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to have it be like more of an update kind of series where you don't have to like watch all 10 hours of me figure out how to make one item, but just kind of like the updates and the highlights and that kind of thing. So let me know if you guys have any feedback, if any comments, criticisms, questions you guys have, that kind of thing. Like I mentioned, this is gonna be a blind playthrough, so preferably no spoilers. Uh, Tips, of course, is always appreciated, but yeah. Uh, Here's to 5,000 hours of my life gone like the wind. Probably more actually at this rate, but I'm very excited. I can't wait to conquer this whole mod pack, and of course, a big thank you to all the people who have been following me as I've been doing this mod pack already. And hello and welcome to all the new people who are here from the video series as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm so excited to expand on this series and really get this thing off the ground and start really Gregging it. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the base tour, and the production line and whatever else you want to call this thing. And I will see you in the next one. All right, take care.